Hello and welcome to Chapter 7 of Conversations with Myself. I'm Dylan Lang. For those who don't know me, I have my usual weekly show, Dylan Knows, on Saturday nights. I'm around episode 500 and something up there. But with this one, it's something I do on the side whenever I have little things I want to do that would not take for a full episode or I would like to do in the middle of one of my episodes. So it's just something I do, something called Conversations with Myself, where I talk about just whatever theme or idea I have. I have a few more ideas for more of these, so hopefully you'll see more of these in the coming year. It's one of these things that I'll do whenever I feel like doing it. There is no set time for them. So this one is one I did last year, where I did my summer movie preview last year. Leading up to Barbenheimer craziness and the stuff going on in 2023. But due to the strikes, I should say, and COVID somewhat a little bit, the summer of 2024 films are they're okay, but nothing Barbenheimer-esque, nothing that's jumps out and says, oh my God, I have to watch this. The closest thing is a movie coming out in July, we'll talk about in a little bit, and I will mention about that. But a lot of this is it seems like a light summer this year. There's still movies, don't get me wrong, there's still sequels, there's still movies. They'll still probably make some money, but I think the next 2 years, 2025 and 2026, are going to be insanely huge when it comes to summer movies. And this is the perfect weekend. It is May 3rd. This is the first Friday in May is usually when which kicks off the summer movie season. That started actually way before Marvel. Actually, it started way back with Twister. Twister was the first one to say, you know what, we're going to do a early May lead up to summer movies and be like the beginning of summer. It used to be Memorial Day was the opening of the summer movie season, but now is beginning of May. And so it was for a while there, Twister and a few other ones, Dante's Peak and a few others here and there that came and went during that time. But then when the comic book movies started coming out around 1999, 2000, that's when they started taking it over. And that's what it was for the longest time. But this year, we do not have a comic book movie coming out in May. We have one coming out in July, but that's, again, another story we'll talk about here in a second. And stuff haven't at Yoo-hoo in forever. So we're going to detail this. Now, this is a little bit different than last time. Last year, I just did the movies that are coming out in movie theaters. Streaming is such a big deal now. And a lot of the movies that are coming out that probably could have done some good bank during the summer, but they decided to run through streaming because that's also kind of successful. I've added them to this list as well that you see through streaming and stuff like that. And we'll try to remember which ones are going through streaming. I think I marked most of them off, but I might have missed a few here and there. Anyway, so here we go. This is your summer movie preview for summer of 2024. Kind of a slow week summer this year. We're kicking things off with May 3rd, 2024, today. The Fall Guy, Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, based on the old 1980s TV show about stuntmen and stuff like that, who solves crimes, is going to be the kickoff movie of the summer. It's already made, I think, $3.8 million in Thursday sales. So look for it to have a big weekend. Is it going to hit 100? Probably not, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a $70 to $80 million opening weekend. So we'll see what happens. So it's going to be a good kickoff for summer. Obviously, not any comic movie or whatever, which normally would probably destroy that number. Next year, we have Thunderbolts at this time, which should be really, really cool and should make a shit ton of money. So we'll see. But Fall Guys should make a decent amount of money, should be successful, and probably peel off a sequel or two coming up. So it's got streaming wise, and then I'm just going, and there's no particular order. So it's the next two streaming ones. The amazing, luscious, gorgeous Anne Hathaway has a new romantic comedy out called The Idea of You, which is available right now on Amazon Prime. I'm actually, after I do this, I'm going to go watch that. Interested to see that. Just watched Jerry Seinfeld's directorial debut, Unfrosted, about the creation of the Pop-Tart. And I got to say, it's a weird little film. The trailer, I think, is much better than the movie itself. The movie was just kind of all over the place. That's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, it's a breezy hour and 36 minutes. You've got, a good number of cameos and a great callback to Mad Men in it as well. Even get a Patrick Warburton cameo in it as well, but lots of cameos and then lots of appearances by stars like Hugh Grant, Christian Slater, whose star hasn't shown brightly for a while, but they're still popping up here and there. And of course, stuff like that. So it's a weird little film. It's okay. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it again sometime, but it's definitely not a great film per se. So that's out on Netflix right now. Wildcat is theatrical. Is Ethan Hawke's It's not directed, he's directed before, but Ethan Hawke directed his daughter Maya Hawke in a movie about Flannery O'Connor. That's the type of movie you probably won't see in like the big theaters. You might see it some of the art theaters nearby, but it is out in theaters now. Tarot is your summer horror movie, your first summer horror movie of the year. That should make a decent amount of money as well. But again, it doesn't need to make a lot of money. It was probably low budgeted, and it'll be successful anyway. So it'll probably be between The Fall Guy and Tarot. I think Fall Guy's still going to win this one. And then it is the 25th anniversary of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and they have re-released that movie into movie theaters. Don't expect that to make too much money because they're not adding anything new to it, and a lot of people are on record as saying it's not one of their favorite Star Wars movies. I think it's underrated. Of the three, the prequels, it's underrated. I think Attack of the Clones is the worst one of the trilogy, even though it has a lot of good stuff and it's got half of a good movie in it, but it's got a half a shitty movie. And The Revenge of the Sith is one of those sort of all over the place sort of movies also, which has some good moments and then some what the hell sort of moments. But yes, if you are interested in doing your May the 4th be with you stuff, which is tomorrow, which is free comic book day also. Just a reminder, get out there, get your free comic book days. But tomorrow's also May the 4th. If you want to get your Star Wars on, go for Star Wars Episode 1. I also believe that tomorrow, certain theaters, none around here that I've seen, I haven't really heard much about it since, are going to be showing all 9 Star Wars movies in a row. So we'll see what happens. On Thursday, May 9th, Netflix brings a new romantic comedy, Mother of the Bride, popping up as well. Friday, May 10th, we have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, continuing the Planet of the Apes saga, which does decent numbers. It's not like it's a big enough hit that they're able to get sequels greenlit, and I think people are still going to come out to see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I don't know if it's going to have as big of a weekend as The Fall Guy is going to have, but I think it's going to do decent. It's they did it right. The original Planet of the Apes movies, how they start with the apes being in charge and the humans being hunted. Well, then when they restarted redoing it, they did it with, how they came to be with the humans creating the super monkeys and then them expanding and evolving. And then now it looks like that we're getting into the bit we're seeing how they've taken over the earth and then how that's going to lead to the original Planet of the Apes movies, which I think is really kind of a genius idea on the part of the creators of the movie. So definitely going to check that out probably if you're a fan of the series. Probably a decent 4th movie in the series and a good lead up to, as I said, the original Planet of the Apes. And then Chris Pine's directorial debut, Pullman, which got ravaged in the film festivals, but again has a interesting looking trailer and an interesting premise. about a pool man who's hired to stop a water conspiracy in Southern California. And Chris Pine directed, as I said. So it's probably another little weird, bizarre film, but that's coming out next week as well. Dropping May 17th is another, could be kind of biggish movie, but again, I don't think we're going to have any huge films for a little while. And the first of two Ryan Reynolds films, If, which is John Krasinski's wrote and directed this. And I think he has a voiceover cameo in it, along with his wife Emily Blunt and Steve Carell. But it has Ryan Reynolds. Basically, it's about a guy who controls imaginary friends and a young girl who wants to learn the ropes. So you're going to see it's a family sort of film. I think they said they wanted to make it like a live action Ghibli movie. So it's kind of similar to that. It looks cute. Again, family film, should do pretty decent. Probably do better than Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Could be on par with Fall Guy if families fall for it. So we'll see what happens. Back to Black is the Amy Winehouse biopic, which has been talked about for a long time, it seems like, and it's finally going to be hitting theaters May 17th. That's a sort of more niche-y sort of film. It probably won't do all that great, but fans of Amy Winehouse will probably be pleasantly surprised about it. And The Strangers Chapter 1, Renny Harlin returns to directing, the first of a trilogy based on a home invasion horror film from a few years back with Liv Tyler. This one has actors that are famous, and I really don't know much about them, but it's basically home invasion, and it's a chapter 1, so we'll see how they end this one on cliches and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. And that comes out May 17th. May 24th, we see the next big family film, the Garfield movie with Star-Lord Chris. I'm so bad at this. Star-Lord. Chris Pratt. Okay, Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt's voicing Garfield. I think Samuel L. Jackson has a voice in there. I think his voice is Garfield's father, I think. So, animated film. I guess it's animated, all animators. I don't know, but it's a Garfield movie. Probably do okay, I guess, but I don't know. We'll see. Another family film. Furiosa, which is the next Mad Max Fury Road sort of film that's also directed by George Miller. This one should do decent as well, and this is Memorial Day weekend, so it should do decent as well. Fury Road is considered to be one of the greatest action films of all time, and George Miller comes back to direct it. This one without Charlize Theron, but Anya Taylor-Johnson, I think, and Chris Hemsworth are in this one as well. So, should do decent numbers as well. And then Netflix has J-Lo's sci-fi film, Atlas. It looks okay, I guess. But again, it's Netflix. So if you don't want to go to the movie theaters and you want to watch something new, there you go. And we end May with Young Woman and the Sea, which is theatrical from Disney. Daisy Ridley playing it's a biopic about the first woman to swim the English Channel. And again, it's one of those things that probably niche-y, probably isn't going to make a lot of money, but is a good sort of way to show off Daisy Ridley's acting, and is a story that needs to be told, stuff like that. Disney Plus has what I'm going to assume will be an absolutely amazing documentary movie about Jim Henson called Idea Man, directed by Ron Howard. It'll be on Disney Plus, so it's not going to movie theaters. So I'm going to definitely check that out. I saw the trailer and I was like, this looks awesome. And Jim Henson's awesome. He's a local guy, and he has a really interesting life and stories and ideas. So I really want to see that one. So I'll have to wait till the end of the month for that, but I will definitely watch that. My wife and daughter during COVID, they got into the Haikyuu manga, which is about a boys' high school volleyball team, and they made an anime about it. And I got and watched the first 3 seasons of it, and didn't watch the 4th season, but my wife and daughter did. And now Haikyuu Dumpster Battle, the movie, the first of 3 movies to wrap up the Haikyuu storyline, is going to be coming out in movie theaters. Considering the Japanese movies that have been coming out lately have been overachieving, I don't think this one will, because I haven't seen much about Spy X Family White, which came out a couple weeks ago. I didn't see it making a lot of money, so we'll see. Maybe it reaches pinnacle and is going downhill, but you never know. It's another niche sort of thing. I think it's also going to be on Crunchyroll eventually as well. And then this one is supposedly going to be in theaters, I believe, but this one is probably the best idea. An idea that has surprised the hell out of me, that has not even been done or accomplished before. This is a Shudder working on it as well. And they've been hitting a lot lately with some good stuff. It's called In a Violent Nature, and it's about a mass killer, craze killer, like a Freddy, Jason sort of type, Michael Myers sort of type. But what makes this movie different than usual slasher flicks is this movie is from the perspective of the POV of the killer. Now, you've never seen that before. You've seen the movies where, the Friday the 13th and the Michael Myers Halloween movies and the Nightmare on Elm Street and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, stuff like that. And you have the young people who come up and get sliced and diced and killed and stuff like that. This one is going to focus more on the killer itself, showing him stalking his prey, getting his, going about his daily life, prepping before he kills people, getting his stuff, all prepped up. And you might not necessarily see all the murder since it's not really from your perspective. You're sort of off viewing it from the killer's perspective, kind of thing. The trailer looks really, really good. I'm not going to see it because it's a gory, violent horror film, but I think horror fanatics should fall in love with this as well. I think it should do really, really well. I don't think it's going to be in a lot of movie theaters. And if it is, I don't know if it's going to do a lot of money, but there really is nothing else coming out that weekend. So if they can maybe breach some stuff here, it should be good. But I think, again, sort of like Late Night with the Devil, which was another huge Shudder motion picture sort of thing. It only came out for like a day or two and was a huge hit. And it's a huge hit on Shudder now. This is probably going to be a very similar situation. It's such a great premise. It's such a great idea. And it shocked the living hell out of me that this has not even been accomplished until just now. So that's it for your May movies. Your June movies, when the summer really starts heating up. June 20th, which is my birthday, as officially the first day of summer this year due to leap year. So that's pretty cool. First up, June 7th, we have one of the first sequels we got out there, Bad Boys Ride or Die, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence. The Bad Boys movies always do pretty good. I don't expect this one to do any different. Streaming has a lot of really good stuff, and Netflix is really going all in. This one is the next really big Netflix movie that I'm really interested in. It's called Hitman. Richard Linklater from the Before trilogy, one of my favorite trilogies of all time, and Glenn Powell, who's one of the hot commodities out there now, stars as a guy who puts on a certain persona to date women, and there's one that he puts on as a hitman as he dates this woman who turns out to maybe want to hire him to actually kill somebody for her. But it's a Richard Linklater movie. The trailer looks outstanding, and I'm anticipating that one. I think that should be another good one as well. June 14th sees Disney's one of Pixar's rare sequels, Inside Out 2. Inside Out was one of the most beloved Pixar movies out there, and the sequel appears to continue the storyline. I think it'll do well. Pixar has been having some issues lately. They've been starting to come back a little bit more on lately, the last couple movies they released, but they had some early problems with their making some money, stuff like that. I think this one will get them back onto the record money aspect as well. The Watchers is also coming out this week. What's interesting about The Watchers, it's a horror film, a horror thriller, I should say, with, I think, Dakota Fanning, I think, is in it. But what's interesting about it is M. Night Shyamalan's daughter is directing it, and the trailer is extraordinarily creepy, slightly confusing, and a little out there. And it could be something that the people are looking for. And another, as I said, sort of a horror thriller sort of thing to fill the void for those people who like that sort of stuff. So Watchers and Inside Out 2 come out June 14th. June 21st, the long gestating The Bike Riders is finally going to make its debut. It's gone from different production companies to different release dates, stuff like that. It'll finally come out on June 21st, as will Kind of Kindness. Emma Stone, fresh off her Oscar win, reteams with her director who got her the Oscar win, Yorgos, for this film that we don't know much about. Willem Dafoe makes a pop up as well. Doesn't look to be as crazy as their last collaboration, but this one is still should be one to keep an eye on for come award time sort of thing. And finally, June rounds out with A Quiet Place Day 1. John Krasinski has nothing to do with this, but it is playing in his world about the how the aliens arrived and took over the Earth. Daddy-O, Sean Penn, and Dakota Johnson's sort of mob sort of movie. And this is the other movie coming out June 28th is one of the ones that I'm highly anticipating, which might sound weird, but it is also a test during this summer and is the one potential interesting storyline through the summer. The movie's called Horizon. It's actually called Horizon Chapter 1. And Kevin Costner returns to directing after his Oscar-winning Dances with Wolves, his shitty The Postman, and his criminally underrated Open Range movie. He returns to the Western genre, which I've always said before. Kevin Costner is great in Westerns or baseball movies, or sports movies, I should say, because Tin Cup's a pretty good movie as well. Everything else he does okay in, but I thought he was great in JFK, obviously. But if you think of one of the best Kevin Costner performances, Dance with Wolves, Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, Tin Cup, you get those sort of things. What's interesting about this is Horizon is sort of like his return to Westerns, set in the fading time of the Western era, which is the late 1800s. It's using the trailer I've seen is utilizing his love of the sweeping planes and brilliant directing that won him the Oscar for Dances with Wolves. And it's a chapter 1, which means that the movie is so long that he had to physically edit into 2 separate movies. Horizon Chapter 1 is due out June 28th, 2024. Horizon Chapter 2 is coming in August, and we'll talk about that when we get to August. So you will be seeing, so it's a something that hasn't really been done before. Films have been cut in half before. Yes, part 1s and part 2s. We have had those before, but never within 2 months of each other. It's always been at least a year to 6 months in between films. This one is just a month, really, for the most 2 months. A month. So June, technically June to July, July to August. So technically 2 months. It looks really good. It's as I said, Western. It looks like Costner is back into his brilliant directing mode again. Could be awarded come Oscar time for this. We'll see. Is it going to make a lot of money? Probably not. It's going to probably be like a 3+ hour film. Doesn't have the cred of an Oppenheimer. And a lot of people probably haven't heard of it, but the fact that they're releasing a chapter 1 and then 2 months later a chapter 2 is a unique and brilliant sort of thing that they're trying out this summer. Last year we had Barbenheimer. This year we have the chapter 1, chapter 2 of Horizon, which could be interesting to look at. Entering in July, this window from July 3rd to July 5th during the July 4th holiday, we've got Despicable Me 4, which again is going to probably make some good money. And all the people, by then it's 2 weeks after Inside Out 2. So families are going to want to see more movies again. It'll probably make some good money. The Minions movies have done really well, and the Despicable Me movies have been doing well. So that's good. Also, Maxine, continuing Mia Goth's trilogy. It climaxes in this one. That'll be in movie theaters. So that's more for niche people who like the Mia Goth films. And then on streaming, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F, I should say. Eddie Murphy returns to one of the characters that made him hugely popular 40 years after the first movie came out. Pretty much the entire cast from the first movie is returning in this one, and including Serge and Paul Reiser in there as well, and Judge Reinhold, John Ashton, and just going to be a interesting look. Beverly Hills Cop 3 was kind of shitty. This one is, I think, going back to the R-ratedness. And Eddie's a little bit old now to do this, but it should be. He's got a different director working on it now. One that's not really an action-oriented one, but one of the ones that he's worked with on his Netflix stuff that he's very comfortable with. So that one, I believe, is going to be on streaming. I think that's on Prime, actually, because that's where Eddie's last movie was. The huge holiday hit, Candy Cane Lane. So look for that to do pretty good here. July 12th finds Fly Me to the Moon, which is an Apple TV Plus production, which will get a limited theatrical debut and then show up on Apple TV Plus. Stars Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum. And it takes an interesting look at the moon landing. We all know the conspiracy theories about the moon landing being faked. So how about we set a romantic comedy set during the time of the moon landing, and Scarlett Johansson is hired to produce a moon landing video in case the actual moon landing doesn't take place. So what they're saying is that NASA's been working, the movie is basically, the premise of the movie is saying NASA's been working their ass off to get people to the moon. They've sent people up there, Apollo's 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, whatever, have all gone up to the moon. Now Apollo 10, or excuse me, Apollo 11 is the next is the one to land on the moon. And just is the first one to land on the moon. So just in case something happens where it fails, the lander crashes and burns, it misses its target or whatever, they will have a film version of it to show that they land on the moon. So taking both the conspiracy theory and the actual moon landing itself and combining it into a romantic comedy with Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum. An interesting premise, to say the least, and a different take on the moon landing conspiracy, because we know for a fact that it actually did happen, that they actually did land on the moon. And this movie is saying that, yes, they're going to be attempting to land on the moon, but if something goes wrong, they want to have a backup just in case, so that, they can prove that they won the space race, despite the fact that they didn't. So that theory is a bit more believable than the whole thing was faked. So whatever. And then the other one is it's a theatrical version, but again, it's one of these things that it probably have very limited release, and it's probably going to go pretty much right to streaming. It's called Sing Sing, and it's about inmates, and I think it's based on a true story, an inmate who creates a theatrical group in prison, and they put on a performance. So that's what that's about. Because it's a big deal, the next 2 weekends in July only have one film because of the films being on them. First up, July 19th, we see Glenn Powell making a return again, who's the hot commodity now, in the long-awaited sequel to Twisters. Unfortunately, it's been way too long that Bill Paxton, unfortunately, has passed away, and I don't think Helen Hunt is making an appearance in this, and none of her crew is either. So We're having a whole new crew going after tornadoes. It's not Jan de Bont directing it. So it almost is. We've seen it already. I mean, people are clamoring for a sequel, mainly due to the fact that they like the characters, not necessarily the whole tornado thing, because once you've done Twister, you really don't need to do anything else because that pretty much summed it all up. And there's not much more you can do. But eventually now that's one here. It's called Twisters. We'll see what happens. See if it can be lightning in a bottle again. It's been long enough that the next generation who did not see it when it originally came out in theaters is now seeing a movie similar to that for the first time in years. So we'll see how that plays out. The biggest movie of the year, my prediction, the one that's going to make the most money of the year, is the hottest movie of the year, of the summer, I should say, maybe not the year, but of the summer. It might actually be the hottest movie of the year, but we'll see. There's a few other contestants coming up here, but this is the hottest movie this summer. It's going to make a shit ton of money because it's been talked about for years now. It's Deadpool Wolverine. You know the whole premise. Wolverine comes back out and Deadpool and him go and explore the various multiverses in order to save the MCU, yada, yada, yada. I don't need to say no more. Deadpool Wolverine is going to be the number one movie this summer. Will make the most money this summer. Will be the hottest movie this summer. We're going to turn to August now, where we get into August gets to be a period where after July, August is sometimes usually sort of a dumping ground for movies, and sometimes you actually going to find some gems, which I'm going to tell you about here in a second. And it's getting better also because that's the way the movie used to go, is that, you know, August, so technically is still part of the summer. May was always the big one to release stuff, so August is now okay. People are on vacation, they're getting back to school mode and stuff like that, so we're not going to release that much, but there's actually some decent stuff out here. Coming up August 2nd, we have Harold and the Purple Crayon, the live action version of the kids book. And Cuckoo, another horror movie. Gotta love your horror movies. You gotta have plenty of them. They're cheap, easy to make, and it can make you some good money, particularly since the budgets are so low. So you got those two coming out August 2nd. August 9th, I told you about M. Night's daughter's movie, The Watchers. M. Night himself has a movie coming out called Trap, which actually looks absolutely brilliant, actually. Josh Hartnett, who's having himself a time now after being a hot commodity in the late 90s, disappeared during the majority of the 2000s and has slowly started coming back with his role in Oppenheimer and a few other things as well. Josh Hartnett headlines M. Night's new movie that we don't know much about. First trailer came out, so you get a general idea about it. Josh Hartnett is a doting father who's taking his daughter to a concert, like a Taylor Swift sort of concert, hugely popular concert, whatever, and discovers a huge police presence around it. So he asks one of the guys about it. He said, "Oh yeah, you know that serial killer who's been going around killing people? A tip has come off that the serial killer is going to be at this concert, and the police want to make sure that the serial killer does not get away." So Hartnett's like, "Hey," Hartnett's like, "That's pretty cool, yeah." And he pulls out his phone and he takes a look at a picture of his next victim. Josh Hartnett is the serial killer. And he's at this concert with his daughter, and he's got to figure out a way to escape without his cover being blown. So that's kind of interesting. Borderlands, also based on the video game, is also supposed to be a huge hit. The first trailer came out. It was kind of bonkers. Eli Roth directed it. Cate Blanchett playing a role that is really unusual for her, but go for it. And pretty interesting cast as well. If you're a fan of the video game stuff is pretty cool. Right now, Fallout is a huge hit right now. So this should do pretty good as well. So August 9th might be interesting. August 16th sees the return of Horizon with Horizon Chapter 2. I talked about that as well. It's up against a tough one, though. Probably the second or third biggest movie of the summer. Alien Romulus is going to come out. The fact that it's come out this late might deaden its box office totals, but it should still do very well. A actual horror director is going to be directing the Alien movie, and people who like that sort of gruesome stuff will like that. But Alien Romulus and Horizon Chapter 2 are due out August 16th. August 23rd, the when this was first announced a while back, I thought, it's never going to get done. And it got done. I was like, okay, good. Maybe the curse is broken. And then they set a date of June for the movie to come out. And then they shifted it to this date. The first trailer came out and it looks like shit. The remake of The Crow is due out on August 23rd now. Was set to come out on June 7th, but they shifted it to now. I don't know why. Maybe they think that it's not going to be as big of a hit as they thought it was going to be, and to sort of drop it into this late August sort of mode is going to help it. I don't know. Also, we have Zoe Kravitz's film Blink Twice with Channing Tatum playing the bad guy in that one as well. August 30th was supposed to have Kraven the Hunter also, but that has been moved to December of 2024. So now all we get is Dennis Quaid's biopic of Ronald Reagan called Reagan. And that is your summer of 2024. Now, I'm going to jump on a little bit. September has also been a month that has been sort of a dropping ground for films, but lately it's been picking up with the It movies coming out and stuff like that. There's 3 big movies coming out in September, which I want to mention here. And technically September is still half of it is still summer. So, and this one definitely hits into that one. September 6th, Beetlejuice, probably one of the most anticipated films. That's going to be a big hit as well. But they're dropping it after the summer stuff and getting it ready for stuff like that. I think they probably should have moved it to maybe the 27th. I get maybe around Labor Day, you might be able to get some people, but I think you would have wanted to get it closer to Halloween actually, but should do good. Tim Burton's back, Michael Keaton's back, Winona Ryder's back, Catherine O'Hara's back, Jenna Ortega joins the cast. So you got to love it. It's Tim Burton. It's Beetlejuice. It's been close to 40 years since, believe it or not, close to 40 years since the last Beetlejuice movie came out. God damn. 1988, man. It's been 36 years, but still, dude, that's fucking long time between Beetlejuice movies. But Beetlejuice due out September 6th. September 20th sees Transformers 1, which is that weird animated Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson voiced one where the prequel to the Transformers, where young Optimus Prime and young Megatron, all that, before they became known as those characters, how they were friends and all that stuff. It looks a little weird. The first trailer came out for it recently as well. And that in turn pushed one of the movies that I'm looking forward to, DreamWorks' animated film, The Good Robot, looks really, really good. Looks like something that Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli would do, about a robot that lands in the middle of a forest and learns how to live from the forest animals. It looks so good, and it was originally going to be out on September 20th, but then Transformers moved to that date, so they didn't want to lose anything, so they moved it back to the 27th. So those 3 movies coming out in September are big ones. Beetlejuice should be a huge movie, I think. Transformers 1, we'll see what happens. And I really hope The Good Robot does really well because it looks really good, and I really can't wait to see that. So, as I said, nothing brain-blowing, exciting about 2024 summer movies. As I said, the majority of the movies that a lot of people are looking forward to are shifting to 2025 and 2026. So we'll have a better summer those 2 years. But hopefully there's some big time movies coming up in this summer period. Should make some money. Theaters should be, pretty good packed, should make some good things. Probably not going to make as much money as they did last summer with Oppenheimer and Barbie. But you should have an okay summer, I think, when you got Alien Romulus and you got The Fall Guy and you got Inside Out 2 and you got Deadpool Wolverine. You've got some movies in there that could make some bank. Despicable Me 4, Bad Boys, stuff like that. You've got some movies that can make some money. Again, I just don't think you're going to see anything coming close to Barbenheimer numbers, both of which close to $1 billion each. I don't even think Deadpool's going to hit $1 billion. It might, but for whatever reason, I just don't see it. being rated R is also going to be a detriment to it as well, though Oppenheimer was rated R also, and it still succeeded. Who knows? So we'll see. That is my summer 2024 preview, and I keep hearing crashes upstairs. What is that cat doing? We'll go find out. Oh, well. So that is it. I'm going to go check out The Idea of You, 10:30, 11:30, yeah, 12:30. It's about a 2-hour movie. I should be over by about 1 o'clock. It's all right. I still want to watch it. It's Anne Hathaway, and would not be terrible to have her be the last thing I dream about at night. So we're going to find out here how that goes. So definitely some interesting stuff coming out in the summer, but nothing mind-blowingly exciting. And we'll see what happens in 2025, 2026. All right, stay tuned. Not stay tuned, but come back here tomorrow. My brand new episode of Dylan Knows is going to debut probably tomorrow, probably closer about 10 o'clock, probably in the evening. Around this time, probably tomorrow, I'll do my new episode of Dylan Knows. Don't forget, Free Comic Book Day is on Saturday. Go out and get yourself some free comic books. All right, I'm outie. Enjoy your summer.